Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses.
Oh, this isn't the rodeo?
Rookies.
This isn't the rodeo?
No rodeo.
I thought it was at the rodeo. Sorry, wrong place.
You thought I was yelling for the cattle?
Yeehaw! Don't ask me.
Episode number 133, Pita.
All right.
Funny real estate investing stories you can learn from.
Mm.
Do you know,
Bill, they're only funny after.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, my God. Do you know the feeling when a good friend tells a story and then 2 weeks later you catch yourself telling that same story to someone else? This is totally normal, and this at the same time a very powerful way for a human being to learn something.
Bill, does the story start with, my friend is so stupid, or my friend is so clever?
If I'm talking about you, want the latter of the two, right? A lot of times, most will turn a story into their own idea or experience. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have also found true that the simpler the story, the easier and more likely it'll stick with a listener. What I hope to accomplish today is to have our listeners hear us tell mostly funny stories. So mostly funny, because some of them may not be. They're funny, like you said, now, but they weren't when it happened, right? To tell mostly funny stories so we can hopefully get their imaginations going and actually feel like they're playing a role on one of our real estate endeavors. What do you think, Peter? Think we could do that?
We'll find out, Bill.
So much so that when we're finished, each person feels like they were there with us and learned the lessons we learned. So grab a cup of Joe or a cocktail, depending on who you are and where you are.
And what time of the day it is. Easy there, morning, folks.
And let's sit around the campfire.
Well, this time of year, I tried to put the fireplace on, but it's gas.
Yeah.
I didn't see the pilot light at Mom's house, so I just didn't touch it. Didn't want to blow up my house.
Okay.
Yeah, never mind. Little fireplace though, huh?
Yes.
This time of year.
So the first story I'm going to tell, I forgot to write down the name of this website. It was a hack site I was on. So in 1748, the British politician and aristocrat John Montagu, the fourth Earl of Sandwich, spent a lot of his free time playing cards.
Rich people.
So he came up with the idea to put beef between two slices of toast, which would allow him to finally eat and play cards at the same time. So he didn't have to take a lunch break.
Without getting his fingers greasy with the meat. Just hold on to the bread because it's cleaner.
He could have bread and meat in one hand and cards in the other hand.
Yeah, because meat in one hand is just greasy.
Right.
Then he gets on the card. So the bread, nice and clean bread. Dry bread.
Eating his newly invented sandwich.
Oh, I thought it was a grinder.
The name with meat became the name with meat between the two pieces of bread became the most popular invention in the Western world.
Good thing they didn't call it the Earl.
Right. I tried to figure that out. You know, like sandwich is actually a place. It was before 1700s. The England colonies were named differently. And I tried to search it down, and I spent about a half an hour on it. It was just too confusing and too many misunderstood words for me, and I wasn't willing to go look them up and figure it out so I could.
Why trying to go that far back?
I was just wondering what sandwich was. It was actually the name of a place.
Yeah, the Earl of Sandwich.
Yeah. So and then why earls? What was an earl?
Yeah.
An earl was like it was like a king before kings.
Big boss.
Yeah. So he was like, but he was an aristocrat. Actually, when I looked it up, it said which I find very interesting because this is the third time this has come across my plate in like probably a month.
Yeah.
That people of that power, like kings and queens, and I don't even know, it's not even like I have attention on it until yesterday when I read this. I think it was when we were talking about the 80-20 rule.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the guy that we talked about realized that 80% of the real estate was owned by 20% of the people?
Yeah.
Well, this guy was an earl because he owned most of the real estate.
Yep.
Right? So it just, and I forgot what the third one was. There was something else I was reading, the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was like somebody was in a powerful position because they owned most of the real estate.
Yeah.
So obviously, real estate, owning real estate has been with us for a very long time.
And you get to name sandwiches.
Right, exactly. So what's interesting about the story I just told you is you're not likely to ever forget it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a funny one. People seem to know that one. I've heard that.
Yeah.
The Earl of Sandwich.
Oh, you did hear it before?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I've
around.
never heard it.
But you think, like, you don't really usually think of things like that. Like, gee, I wonder why they call it a sandwich. You just eat the darn thing,
Right.
But once in a while, you get inquisitive and like, I wonder why.
I read, if you read, oh my goodness, excuse me. This is almost gone.
Oh, good for you.
Been fighting with it for weeks. Oh my God. I just went blank. Jay Abraham's book on, I forgot the name of the book. It's How to Have Everything You Own or something like that. I forgot the name of the book.
Mm-hmm.
But he starts the book off that way. Like, lunch meat was invented in like 1610, but it was 1748 before somebody thought of putting the bread together.
Yeah.
You know what another one was that was really weird? And it really, I don't know why that's happening, man. That's a Skype. Somebody's Skyping me. Sorry, my phone's ringing in the background.
The old Skype ding dong. Oh, yeah, the Skype ding ding.
He talks about, we should probably get the book. I should probably read that. I should have done that.
Called Getting Everything You Can Out of All You've Got.
Yeah, Jay Abraham. It's called Getting Everything You Can Out of Everything You've Got. Out of all you got. You want to go upstairs and get the book and I just read it in? It's should be.
Your usual spot?
Yeah, check. Yeah. Anyways, he talks about, we're way off on a tangent now. He talks about the one that bothers me the most.
What?
Is a toilet and toilet paper.
What, the name?
No, they were not connected and for like hundreds of years. So like, I don't know.
Wait a minute, you poop in one room and you're wiping another one? What are you telling me, Bill?
No, I'm just saying that they didn't use toilet paper for a long time.
Well, they didn't have it for a long time.
Yeah. So it's like, wow.
That's kind of creepy.
Yeah. So we just went way in the gutter with the show.
Can you connect that to real estate in any way?
Yeah.
The toilet is in a bathroom.
Yeah. And I'll connect it right now.
Go ahead.
Make sure if you're going to sell a house, you always have toilet paper in it. That's one of my laws.
That's right. Yeah. It's on my list.
We have to finish that book. We made that book and we never published it.
Well, the rules?
The rules of, yeah.
Did we finish? Thought you had another.
No, I think we finished it. 68 rules to real estate investing or whatever it was. We actually wrote it and just haven't published it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so we have stories.
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to talk about first?
Would it be easier if we went chronologically?
Sure.
Because the first one I remember is I call it the Margaret story.
The Margaret story.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not really funny, but it's the first. I think it's the first time I saw you do very creative financing right in front of my eyes. I didn't even know what you were doing, and she didn't either. You did it. You told me later. I said, "Wow, that's what I saw happen." Right. That's why it was really clever.
Right. So that's it.
No, I'm going. The medium story. Not too long, not too short. I was sending yellow letters looking for properties in my hometown, Newington. And there was a guy I kept going back and forth with. So we saw his house. And I think it was the second time we went out to see the guy. He worked on the Stephen Colbert Show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was the photographer for Stephen Colbert.
That's right.
He took still shots for Stephen.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that just came back to me. So he spent a lot of time in New York and some time here in the family house, and he's thinking, should I keep it? Should I sell it? Should I sell it? Should I keep it? So we're trying to figure a deal, and it was a weird thing because the bathroom was downstairs in the kitchen, 2 bedrooms upstairs and no bath upstairs.
Totally forgot about that.
Yeah, it's coming back to me as I speak. That's why I figured we'd go chronologically because my time track will roll out the timings. So we were thinking, well, we could put a extension at another bathroom, maybe another bedroom upstairs, something like that, and spend money.
Talking about doing a dormer upstairs.
Yeah, and do we do that? Do we not do that? But he kept hemming and hawing, buy, sell, stay, go, because he was a little worried about his money and why get rid of the house, and I always have something to come back to, that whole kind of a deal.
Right.
So we do the whole thing, and well, we'll talk to you later, and if anything changes, we'll check back with you in a month or something like that. And then I forget if you turned or you just were still on the couch, but you pull the. By the way, anyone else that's got a house for sale?
I did that at the very end.
You did. I mean, I never write that down because we never tell people to do that. That's probably the most important part of the story.
Right.
Hey, anyone else that's selling a house? And he goes, oh yeah, my friend, mom. It's a whole story. Like the dad died. She's living up in Vermont for like a few years, and they're cleaning the house out, and it's a pain in the neck and all that. The whole thing. Like, really, where's the house? Oh, around the corner. Really? What's the number? I forget. But if you go up blah blah street, you'll see it. It's got the dumpster. So it's a sunny summer afternoon, late morning. Let's go. So we just pop in the car and we're driving up. There it is. So we pull up. There's a dumpster.
Brick house.
Nice solid brick house.
3-year-old pig house.
Yeah, can't blow it down. And there's a guy coming out of the garage carrying like a dolly.
Yeah.
And he sees us and he just dumps everything. It all falls on him. He's like hot and sweaty, like, God damn it. And it falls. Oh man, this poor guy. So, yeah, we hear you got a house for sale, and says, well, yeah, but you got to talk to my mom. She's not feeling too good right now. Oh, that's okay.
No, you need to talk to my mom. And then he's like, so we tell him a little bit about what we do. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I say to him is you realize if you sell the house to us, you don't have to clean it out. And here he's like all sweaty. And he's like, really? Wait a minute, let me go inside and see if my mother will talk to you now. And remember, he went inside. Yeah. And he came up about 5 minutes later. He says, no, she's not feeling too good. Can we make an appointment? Can you come back?
Yeah. I remember the comeback part.
Which was like the next day.
But you totally got him. I mean, hey, here's the power of observing. The poor guy comes out and he's got this wheel, this dolly, this dumpster, and he's hot and sweaty. He's working alone, and it just falls, and he's like, God damn it, he's pissed. So we go back. Nice older lady. She's been out of the house for a few years, living with the son and the grandson in Vermont. They come back every 2-3 weeks, and they poke away at it, and they're trying to fill a dumpster. And it's a royal pain.
It was about a year, 10 or 12 months.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get her stuff out and get her moved to Vermont.
Yep. Well, she's already living there.
Right. Yeah, but for 30-something years or 50 years or something.
The house was filled with all their stuff. Right. Yeah. Her clothes were up there, of course, and all that. So we, check the house out. It's a solid house. It needs updating and renovating and all that. And we're figuring stuff. So you did the cost to sell worksheet to figure out really.
Yeah. In the living room on the arm of her chair.
Yeah, because it was the living room was just filled with stuff. There wasn't even a chair for me. I sat in the kitchen nearby watching, and
you just put it on my book, and I just rested on the armchair of her big cushy sofa chair.
With the arms mushy and cushy. Yeah,
and she just did it. Yeah, she did as I showed her.
So we do the usual cost to sell. If you sell your house, here's what you're gonna get. Here's your bottom line.
The net number.
Now, how much you want for your house? 180. Okay, that's nice. What do you think you're gonna get? Because you don't get the 180. So when she sees how much she's gonna get, I was hoping for a little bit more. So we came up with a number. I'm talking some numbers. I remember some of it.
Yeah, I don't remember any of it. I know what we did. I just don't remember the numbers.
Yeah, 126 was one number.
Yeah, we did a low number.
Yeah,
I think it was like 110 or something.
Yeah, 110 cash.
And then we did which was pure cash, which is always the shock number, because they always want the cash number first. If you don't get that out of the way, then you'll never make a deal.
Yeah, they want cash and just go on their merry way. Well, that's the lowest number.
Then we did, why don't you finance us for 7-10 years and make a payment, because I was trying to buy the house so we could do a lease option. Mm-hmm. And she didn't want that. And then we came back to the middle offer, which is the one that we usually want them to take.
Mm-hmm.
And that was adding 9%, because that's what I pay my private lender, to what we offered her as a cash offer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was like the
126 or 135.
I thought it was 126.
Yeah, that's the number there. Yeah.
Whatever it was.
Yeah, because
she said yes to
yeah, because the point is like 110's too low. Like, how much do you want? I was thinking more like 125 or 130, something like that.
Yeah.
And once you saw the real numbers,
maybe it was 115. It was like 114, whatever it was.
Yeah. Well, we landed around 126.
Yeah.
So the point is,
and the 126, she financed us for a year.
Yeah.
While we renovated it.
So it would have been something like 115 or so if we got our own private money and paid her right now when she goes on her merry way and it's all over. But you have to realize she was sitting there with the house for a year or so or two.
Yeah.
Not doing anything with it. So she's not in a hurry to get rid of it. And she was going to still clean it out, still clear it out week after week after week after week, and then sell it. It'd be 6-9 months before it actually closed.
Right.
So you said, well, if you let me pay you when I sell it at the end of the year, I'll pay you more later.
Right.
126. Oh, yeah? Oh, what do I have to do? We just wait, and then we'll give you more if you wait. Oh, yeah, that's fine, because she didn't need the money right now. She was going to be dragging. It would have taken her that long anyways.
Right.
And we took everything off her plate. They stopped
really
cleaning.
Easy.
Oh, man, they stopped cleaning stuff. And she wound up in the hospital a couple of days later because she was a bit diabetic, I believe. Right. She had an attack. She was in the military. She went to our local VA. Yeah. So we're monitoring. We're staying in touch and just trying to be there for her and take the stress off of her.
Yep.
She didn't need that.
Yep.
So we did the deal. We renovated the house. We sold it. We made good profit. We gave her check. We closed. She wrote a beautiful story. Thank you so much.
Yeah, at the closing when we bought it, she spent 20 minutes raving about us, and I slid a piece of paper underneath her and said, "Can you write it down?"
That's right. It was at the closing when we.
And I have a recording of that entire closing, because what we did is she actually had a mortgage, a small mortgage in the house. I think it was like $30,000,
home equity,
20,000,
home equity,
or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we actually did a subject to with a wraparound mortgage. Mm-hmm. And the owner financing all in one. And I actually recorded it because my lawyer, did a phenomenal job explaining it to her, like walking, because she was 70-something years old, and walking her through it. The closing was like an hour and a half because we would just spend most of the time like
it was
chatting.
Really nice with her.
Yeah. So, and then 4.5 months we closed and gave her her money, and she raved about us again.
Yeah. So the numbers were, the money was the overall price of the house, including 9%, but including that home equity line of credit. So it was all lumped together,
right?
One big number with all the little.
I think we sold the house. We thought we were confident at like 170, and I think we sold it for like 190 or something, right?
No, 185.
Yeah,
something
was more than what we comped it for. I remember that.
We did good.
Yeah,
yeah. I didn't. Well, the other part of that story was we had a guy doing the renovation. Some of you found, but he was like unreliable and. Like the first or second week, I get a phone call that the police were there.
Yeah.
So the next day,
they stole his money out of his car. And...
Yeah, I stopped at the stop sign, and I was counting my money. Somebody reached in and grabbed it. I mean, he's probably doing some kind of drug deal, you know? Because when he stood, he kind of wobbled, and I looked at him, like, "You okay?" And he's wobbling on his feet. So he finally disappeared, and we had to get other people in there.
No. He disappeared for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And then I moved from that house and went down and bought the house on Lucy Street in Hamden.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I bought that house, it was like November, and I was worried about it. I'd been messing with the bank for like 4 months to do a closing. It was a local bank.
Mm-hmm.
And we finally closed like the middle of November, and I'm like freaked out because I want to paint the outside of this house.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's aluminum, and I want to paint the outside of the house.
It's a little cold,
and I'm worried about the cold weather.
Mm-hmm.
So we get like this blurb of like 50-degree weather.
Yep.
So like I got it, and I have nobody to paint this house.
Mm-hmm.
So I called this dude up. His name was Joe. I called Joe up. Said, because he left like tools in the house, and he owed us. We had paid him for some stuff, and he skedaddled with the money. We had to go buy materials. Remember?
Yeah, we had to get all the guys to finish it. We had to
Right.
buy materials, so he kind of owed us money. He disappeared.
So I decided. Remember, we had a talk with. I decided, well, if I don't put his ethics in, then it's really more of a problem with me than him. I at least need to put his ethics in. I can't just let him get away with it, because he'll go do it to somebody else and like feel shitty about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I called him
Sometimes
up.
you have to make people behave for their own good,
Yeah.
and for just justice,
Yeah.
and fairness, instead of just totally giving up.
So I called him up and I said to him, hey, you still owe me money. And he answered the phone. I'm like, I got an idea. Why don't you come down and paint this house for me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could do that. So I ended up, he gave me a credit of some sort, and I ended up paying him, I don't know, $500 or $700 or whatever it was, more money. I bought the paint, and he went down and he squirted the house.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did, because, well, I was concerned that, we would do the renovation. It would be like February or March when we're trying to, and I didn't want to have to wait till spring to have to paint the house, which we did a shit ton of money on that house, and I did good on that house as well. So, but that was the one where now we're going to another story.
And this is the house you can see on First Time Flippers.
First Time Flippers. Yeah, that's right.
But you can't find it on
Forgot about
demand.
that.
They don't go that far back. They only go about a year back.
Right.
But it's out there somewhere. That was on the TV show. Your daughter Jessie and myself.
Yeah, we ended up taking that house and doing First Time Flipper show on it.
So the moral of the story on the first house. Let's sum up morals of the story.
Yeah.
Right. First one. And I totally forgot this, and we have to add that in someplace. When you're in a house doing a pitch, whether you buy it or not, ask the question before you leave. What do you say, Bill?
Do you know anybody else that has a house for sale that we can help?
That we can help.
Yeah.
That's one of those lines that should be written down in block letters. Do you know anybody else that has a house for sale that we can help? Yeah. Wow. We wouldn't have
sent
the
us
house.
over to Margaret.
Yeah.
And then once we were in the house with Margaret, the thing there is that we did the cost to sell, even though it was inconvenience and uncomfortable, we still did the cost to sell.
Yeah.
Right. And that led us into how much equity she wanted, how much money she wanted, and when she wanted it, all that. She was so ecstatic, please.
Yeah.
And then
so you can always make an offer
that led into you can go ahead.
Yeah, well, you can use your private money, borrow from somebody, give them 9, 10, 11, 12%, or you can ask the owner of the house if they can wait a little longer, and you'll give them
episode
9,
114, I think it is, where we talk about 3 places to get money.
Yeah.
So the first place is the bank. The second place is a private lender or a hard money lender, and the third place is your seller.
I thought it was your buyer.
Well, you ask your seller for the money, but you get it. You can ask your seller.
Well, to hold it.
The money.
Ultimately from the buyer. That's right.
Ultimately, your buyer is going to pay for it. So what you're going to do is ask your seller, can you hold the money until my buyer can pay it off?
Yeah, now it all fits together for me. Yeah, and if they don't need to sell the house right away, would you wait like an extra 6 months for like $9,000?
Right.
$10,000?
She was just going to put the money in the bank account, didn't need it anyway. So she's like, why not make an extra $9,000?
Nope. If they can't do it, it's another story. But when they can, it's beautiful. You don't have to go find private money.
I thought it was $11,000, but
whatever it is.
Whatever the difference
whatever
is.
it is, yeah. Yeah, 115 plus $11,000, 126. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's that story. So keep note of those. Those are powerful.
Then we get into the house, and this is over the course of just a couple months. I mean, there's so many other stories. I can't even remember half. I was worried about if we were going to remember stories this morning. So that walked us into, we hired a contractor that started the job, couldn't finish it, right? Mm-hmm. And so we put his ethics in by making him come to another job down in Hamden.
Yep.
Right. Now that turns into the best part about that house. Oh my God, I got a story about that.
Oh. Go ahead.
So I buy the house, and this was a valuable lesson, a very valuable lesson. Now you're talking to a guy that had done a few hundred houses at the time, and I'd been doing it for 15 years, and I'm still learning lessons. And every house I learn something different. I always expect to learn something from a house.
You know, wonder, well, how can they be, having done this long enough? Hey, people pull stunts.
Oh, yeah.
There's just stuff that people do.
So one of the things that we did is when we bought the house, I for whatever reason, because Ann was the realtor, and she was psychotic, but she was sharp. Mm-hmm. I mean, she was. She belonged. She certifiably belongs in a straitjacket and in a insane asylum. I mean, she. In fact, I was talking to Tom Mazak, the attorney the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and he told me, I don't know if I told you this or not, but he had a client come out of the blue.
Oh, yeah, a couple months ago.
Looking to sue her.
Yeah.
He was like, "You're never going to believe what came across my desk."
Gee, why would something like that
I couldn't take
happen
the
to a
case,
person
he said,
like that?
because I already knew and did deals with her. He says, "I'm so glad because I would have never wanted to get in that case." Anyways, so what she did is she pulled somehow or another when we bought the house, I figured out it was completely like this little like blurb, like it was one sentence in like 1,000 conversations. I mean, it was like literally that like weird, right? And what I realized is that the basement had a room in it around the furnace room, and it looked like it like 50 years ago it was finished.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the tax man was charging for a finished basement, but it wasn't a finished basement.
He was charging?
Yeah, I was paying taxes, or
geez.
everybody before me
Because of that room?
Yeah.
You can't charge for a furnace room because that's not like, it's
saying.
not a bedroom.
So I get this great idea because this is a 2-bedroom house, and I get this great idea. Well, I'm going to put.
Oh, that's why you did it, because it was already being charged, so you'd have to change that.
I figured I wouldn't have to worry about zoning.
Because it's already zoned for it.
So I bought the house.
So you made it fit the zoning.
I bought the
That's
house
backwards.
predicated on, it was a 2-bedroom house, which I never buy those. I bought the house because I had a suspicion I could put a basement in there.
Yeah. A bedroom in the basement?
I put 2 bedrooms in there. Well,
Yeah.
2 bedrooms and a bathroom.
Yeah.
Right? Because there was a bathroom behind the garage. It was a weird thing.
Yeah.
But it was like this dungeon. It was like made out of concrete, and it was really weird.
It looked scary.
Yeah, it was scary, right?
If there was,
like
if
a
there
haunted house, or
if there were toilets in the medieval times,
right?
That would have been it.
It was up like on a pedestal, right?
Like, we will torture him. We will put him on this toilet. What is a toilet? We don't know yet, but it looks cold and hard, and there's a little handle on the side.
You definitely don't want to pull your pants down in this room.
Pull his pants down and make him sit on it. It's cold. It was that kind of a toilet. It was frightening.
So the thing that stands out about me with that house is that we do the entire renovation, and I don't pull permits, right? Which technically I don't need to.
Even if you're building walls.
Well, that was a little.
I know if you're moving walls.
There was a wall there. I definitely pushed the bar there. I definitely pushed the bar. Anyways, I get all done, and the house is all done, and we get a sticker on the door.
Mm-hmm. Cease and desist.
Yes.
Do not do any more renovating. Do not fix this house anymore.
I'm being a smart ass and say, well, I'm done with the renovation. I'm not doing any more renovations, and I peel the sticker off.
I'm done. Thank you.
I'm done. I'm like, what are they going to do?
Aren't you supposed to go?
I'm not doing any work.
I'm supposed to go like, excuse me, what is this all about?
No.
Can you help me?
I didn't do it.
No. And then what happened, Bill?
So, of course.
Bill has to say, how'd that work out for you, Bill?
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, my ethics level was not too good there, and it bit me in the ass.
Do I have to watch you?
So, yeah, and that day you did. So now what happens is we get ready to do it. We get ready to do a closing, and what pops up? Some realtor says, "Did you pull permits for the basement?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" That leads into the actual story, where I'm like, "Okay, so we decide, okay, I'm going to go pull permits for the basement." So I go down.
How do you do it after the fact?
Yeah, exactly. So I go down to the, and I'm like shitting bricks, right? So I go down, and the guy stands in front of me, the head guy, and he's got his finger like 4 inches in front of my forehead, blowing me up, telling me that I'm a flipper. You flip houses, and we know what you guys do, and you're not doing it in this town. And he's pretty much telling me I'm a scumbag. I mean, he said everything but those 2 words, but boy, I felt that way when I left. So he got done. I mean, he went on, Peter, for, I'll bet you 3 minutes. I mean, it was a constant blob. I mean, he had spit coming out of his mouth. His face was red. He was pissed because I was a flipper.
What did you say at the beginning of the conversation? How'd you introduce yourself?
I told him I was here, and that I wanted to find out what I needed to do to pull permits and how I needed to fix things. And they were like, wow, we've been looking for you. You know, it's like these 3 Guido guys, right? that could make $5 if they rubbed their knees together all day long and tried. You know what I mean? I mean, they just, anyways. So they go get the head guy because he's got the case, right? They got to go get him. So he comes out and he's the one that blasts me, right? So long story short, he tells me, he gets all done and I look at him and I smile and I said to him, okay, so what do I have to do to fix this? And he looked at me and it completely diffused the last 3 or 4 minutes of rant. You have to get a contractor and come down here and pull up. No, he says, you have to pull a permit. I says, okay, I'll pull a permit right now. No, you have to have a contractor's license or have a contractor come here and pull a permit. I said, so if I have a contractor's license or I have a contractor come here, we can pull permits and you'll come inspect the house. That's what the law says. I'm not putting my ass on a line for one of you guys. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do?
You get your contractor's license.
I went home. I looked up what it was like to get a contractor's license in the state of Connecticut. All they wanted was $225. No tests, no anything. So I went online on Sunday. This is on
So
Friday.
is that for any kind of contractor?
General contractor.
General.
I paid my $225. They emailed me immediately my contractor's license. Monday morning, I showed back up, and I have the email. Said, I'm a contractor.
Did he see the date on it?
Yeah.
Did he like it?
The dude said to me, he looked at me, he smiled, he says, they're pretty easy to get, aren't they? I said, yeah. So now here's the best part. So then he says, I said to him, I want to pull a permit. He said, okay. So I fill out all the paperwork. So I'm thinking I spent like $8,000 or $12,000 on materials, something like that. So I brought that number with me because I added up in my folder how much the materials were. So I figured we'll put that down and we'll use that as the dollar amount for the permit.
Yeah.
So we get to that part and he's like, how much for repairs? I'm like, I mean, how much for, because if they go, the permit, how much they charge you for the permit is predicated on how much the job costs.
Oh, I got you.
Right? So I'm like, yeah, well, I was thinking I could just put down the cost of materials. Nah, he says, I'll just put $1,000 down here. So it cost me like $26 for the permit. But
that's not what the law says.
No, wait a minute. This is how it goes. He says, all the things you checked off here, he says, that you did, he says, you don't need a permit for any of these. I'm like, I know. I redid the kitchen, I redid the bathroom, I painted, put rugs on. None of that stuff was permittable.
And the attic. Well, if you move a wall, there's a concern that like something would be structurally affected, right?
Yeah, you're saying that because I say that,
right? But if you add walls, right?
Yeah.
No, I read the
you're right.
I read the litigate. I read the some of the rules. It's very short. This is okay. This is okay. This is not. But if you add walls, you're not endangering anything.
Right.
You're making something more secure. So adding some walls and putting some 2x4s and that's not making it worse.
So we get to the end of the day.
So you had that on there too?
So yeah. So I put all that on there. So at the end of the day, he's like, well, why are we pulling permit? I'm like, because you guys are telling me to. At that point, he knows I got him.
But that's because you got.
So he says to me, no, hang on. Right. So he says to me,
keep going.
Well, you can't have a bedroom below ground without an egress window.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, egress window means that you can crawl out of it.
The egress means like exit.
Yeah. So that's for fire purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have to come there. We're going to have to inspect it. Well, come on over, I say. Right? So we get there. The most amazing thing in the world happened. And this is a fantastic lesson for me and should be for you guys too.
Mm-hmm.
First thing that happens is he walks down the staircase from upstairs to downstairs, and he says, "This is 100% illegal. The headroom was too low.
Yep.
You can't." So he's like, if a fireman comes in here in the middle of the night and there's no lights and he can't see, he's going to hit his head and it's going to knock him out, and he can't put the fire out.
He's got a helmet on,
right? So I'm like, okay. So he goes downstairs and he's like, can't find any violations. He's telling me that the egress window is too high by 3 inches.
Jump,
okay.
boo-boo, jump.
So I said to him, well, what if I put like a wooden stair? He says that would work and it would comply.
Yeah.
Right? Finds nothing else wrong.
Yeah.
Right? So he makes this big to-do about the staircase. I'm
Which
like,
has been there for years.
dude, the house was built in 1952.
Mm-hmm.
So why didn't you like get the other 3 owners here, right? Long story short, here's what I did. I decided to completely reverse the whole flow. And I said to him,
Okay.
well, why don't you help me? How do I fix it? So they're telling me, okay, well, you got to take the staircase out. You got to put a spiral staircase in. I'm like, okay, I'll have my guys here tomorrow doing it. Like, no. And we were in there for 45 minutes, and he's like trying to figure it out. Well, I got to call the boss. So we leave, make another appointment, and the guy that had his finger in my face comes to the house now. Completely a different person now. They're completely tame because now they realize that I'm not the scumbag flipper they thought I was because the house is gorgeous. I mean, I did a fantastic job at the house. I mean, brand new kitchen. I mean,
Bill, that was me and Jess.
yeah, on the show, yeah. Right?
It's a show.
Anyways, bottom line is I got the 2 of them in the basement, and they don't know how to fix this problem. So much so he had to write a letter to the state of Connecticut on what to do.
How much time is this all taking?
This is taking days, right? In the end, here's what happened. He said to me, because he's like, well, you might have to put spiral. Okay. If I
How's
gotta
that
put
better for a fireman going down? Seriously.
Because there's headroom. Whatever.
He's going in circle getting dizzy, then falling down. He's
But I'm
dizzy.
like, I already priced it, and I'm like, it's going to cost me like $3 or $4 grand. I'm like, whatever. I'm just going to get it through my closing. Right? Long story short, he calls me, and all he was looking to do at this point was get it off his plate. He's like, if I mark in the tax record that downstairs is for storage and storage only, I can let you get away with it. Or he said, you'll have to put the spiral staircase in. I'm like, I'll take the first option.
Now, if it's for storage only, does it still zone for the 2 extra bedrooms?
I don't have to take them out, and if the people want to use them, that they're there on their own discretion.
Oh,
What
okay.
he was worried about is
Legality.
somebody could sue him because he said it was a livable space.
I got
That's
it.
all he was worried about.
So I got it. So they just classify it as that, then you do whatever you want.
Yeah. So he passed my permit. I get all done, and I say to him, and I'm like, thank you very much for all your help. I really appreciate it. And he says to me, just before he hangs the phone up, he goes, by the way, I said, yeah. He said, I would have made the same decision you made. I wouldn't have put a spiral staircase in. It would have ruined the house. But he was pushing for a week.
Yeah. Well, you always have to remember that when you're talking to somebody, they're not talking for you. They're talking for themselves.
Right.
They have a job. They have to watch their own job. And, that's understandable. They have a responsibility. But then in the end, is that the right thing to do all the time?
Right.
That's another story, isn't it?
Exactly.
So our state lets us do the right thing, huh?
Right. Exactly. So anyways, how about the one around the corner? Let's talk about the dumpster rat.
Oh, yeah. No,
You weren't there. So
No, but I heard. I've been to the house a few times.
Right around the corner.
Yeah.
What was the name? What was the name of the road?
Well,
Wilmot Street.
Wilmot.
Right around the corner. I bought it right after I bought that one. I bought 3 of them, like within a month. All right, within 3 or 4 blocks.
What are you doing? Raising the comps for the neighborhood?
Yeah, pretty much. So I buy this house and we go in there, and I change contractors now because the contractor I had on Lucy Street completely just took too long. That's my biggest problem, is they take too long.
Yeah, we always expected him of the one complaining to get that notice on your door too.
I think he was the one that ratted me out, saying that there was work being done
and not being done right. Blah blah.
he was
Generality.
moving out of state, so I think he zapped me before he left.
Being run.
Yeah.
Chicken shit.
So in any event, he was trying to charge me for extras. He wanted $2,000 for extras, and I told him I would gladly pay him for his extras, but the shit that he listed on the extras were almost verbatim that were on the contract for the work that he did. So how are they extras?
Mm.
It's like, I'll pay you the extras. I know you were there a long time. I mean, for the amount of money you made, you were there for like 2.5 months. I know you can't have made money. I'll pay you, but just tell me what they're for. And he couldn't do it, so he got pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, I'm around the corner now in another house, and I got another contractor, right? And he helped me finish Lucy Street.
Okay.
So I hired him to do that, and then we're now in another job, right? So I get a dumpster like I always do. That's the first thing I do. And we're going through the job, and we're probably about 3 or 4 weeks into the job, probably about 3 weeks into the job. And he's like 3/4 of the way through the job. And from the second floor, I can go up from the second floor, and I can look down into the dumpster so I can see what's in the dumpster. And I come in there one day, and I notice the dumpster's a little bit fuller than normal. And I'm like, where did that stuff come from? And I didn't say nothing. I'm like, whatever. So I'm thinking, because it's kind of on a busy road. So I'm thinking, well, somebody's throwing some shit in my dumpster. Like, whatever. I mean, it's more aggravation to like try to cover it up at night and try to police it than it is. I mean, as long as the dumpster's not full and I got what I want in there, it's like, what am I going to do? I'm paying the same amount of money no matter what anyways, right?
Little community service there.
Yeah.
Community cleanup.
Exactly. Next day I come in and the dumpster's like overfilled.
Oh, Jesus.
Overfilled.
It's coming over the top?
Yeah.
That's no good.
So now I'm thinking, what the... Beep. The biggest problem I have is now the dumpster guy comes, he's not going to be able to cover it and all that. They got to cover it so they can drive down the road. And it's like, now it's going to cost, they're going to fine me because it's overfilled. So I go in. I say to my contractor, what's up with the dumpster? Yeah. I said, I don't know. Somebody's dumping shit in there. I'm like, have you seen anybody? He goes, no. So you know how I am. I mean, I'm definitely not the bashful one.
No.
So
Bill goes down the street.
I start knocking on doors. Right?
Open up.
So I start with the guy behind me.
Open up. It's the flipper.
Yeah. I start with the guy behind me, and I go over. He's outside, and I start talking to him. I'm like, hey, I took the fence down along our property line here, right? And I hope you're okay with that. He's like, oh, man. He says, I'm so glad you took the fence down. I'm probably going to put another one up. He says, do you care if I put another one up? I'm like, no, whatever, because it's like actually my property. I said, but I'm just trying to make the neighborhood better. I said, this house been, dilapidated, blah, 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 blah. It's like the sore thumb of the neighborhood. I said, well, I'm going to fix it and stop that, and it'll bring your property values up in the neighborhood because that's what I do. I've done this a lot. I've been doing it 15 years. He's like, oh, man, that's great, right? So I said to him, just on a whim, I said to him, by the way, I said, you haven't seen anybody like swinging by here and like throwing shit in a dumpster, have you? He goes, no. I said, well, we got somebody in the neighborhood seems to think that I have a communal dumpster here, that I'm like the new dump. He goes, really? I'm like, yeah. He says, well, that sucks. He says, you seem like a nice guy. He says, you shouldn't have to put up with that or something like that, right? I said, okay. Well, if you see anything, here's my phone number. Give me a call. So I know it happened to be a Monday, and the only reason why I know that is because Monday night I do my coaching calls. And I'm like, it gets to be like 7:30, 8 o'clock, like I'm like in the middle of my coaching calls, and we're like, I've got like 15 or 18 people on the call, and there's like all these deal structures we got to do, and we're like fumbling through, and my phone starts blowing up. Da-ding, 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 and I'm like, what the hell's going on here, right? So I look at the phone, right, and this dude that I talked to is sending me pictures and videos. He's standing in his house, somewhere in his house, I think on the second floor or somewhere, and he's taking pictures of the dude throwing shit in my dumpster.
Awesome.
Because he's got like a direct shot right to the dumpster, right? So I sent, the reason why we call it the dumpster rat is because I wrote emails on this. As things were happening, I was writing emails about, here's what happened to me today. I go there and I find this shit there, right? So
dirty rat.
Yeah, dirty rat, right? So he's sending me these pictures, right? So I get off the coaching call. It was late, and I call him up, and he answers. It's like late at night. And I go, dude, or I text him back. I forgot what I did. I said to him, he goes, that's the guy that lives on the other side of you, the drug guy.
Oh, perfect.
The drug guy.
Oh, perfect. You better call the police then.
Yeah. So I go back down, and the next day, to the job, and I say to the contractor, all right, look what I got. Dun, 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 I whip out my phone and I show him the picture. He goes, the drug guy.
Oh, he knew.
I'm like, you know him? He goes,
my supplier.
Well, he came over here about a week ago and asked if he could put a refrigerator, one of those half refrigerators, in the dumpster if we had room, if it would be okay. And I said, and you said? I told him, yeah, no problem. I'm like, so now you're paying for the dumpster? well, no, that's the thing. He says, I kind of feel responsible for what's happening. I'm like, why didn't you tell me this a couple days ago? I didn't think it was important.
How about when it was overfilling?
So how are we going to deal with the overfilled dumpster right now? Are you writing the check to the dumpster company to have all his shit in there and then you go collect the money? Or how are we going to deal with it? He goes, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. I'm like, oh, really? Are there any horses around here? You're going to like put a horse head in the guy's bed or something like that? Are you like the mob or something like that? You're going to whack him? What are you going to do?
He wasn't Italian.
No. What are you going to do? Yeah, but sometimes, you get a few of the Russian guys
you get
in
inspired.
there.
You get inspired.
Yeah, you get a couple of the, what are the Gaelic guys? Irish guys. They were mobsters.
Oh.
There could be some Jewish guys in there. It wasn't just Italian, Peter. Let's not just be glomming up the Italian mafia.
Let's not take all the credit, huh?
Yeah.
I think we wrote the book, though, and definitely the movies.
Yeah. So I leave. I'm like, dude, this is not okay. You need to handle it or get off my job.
Oh.
So I leave.
Yeah. You didn't know what he was going to do?
Nope.
That's funny. You just knew he would do something.
Next morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, I get a text. Dumpster done. I'm like, oh. Wonder what that means. I'm not texting. I'm not calling. I get in my car and I go down there.
Mm-hmm.
Dumpster's back to where it was.
Gee, Bill, where'd all the stuff wind up?
And I went right upstairs to the second floor and looked down. And I'm like, holy shit. Dumpster's back to where it was. So I go downstairs and he's like working on something. I'm like, dude, where's the shit in the dumpster? Well, he says, after you left here, he says, it was like 3 o'clock. He says, I went next door to the drug guy and I knocked on the door and he didn't answer. So I came back and I got my hammer and I banged on the door with the butt of the hammer, like, and I was yelling his name and he wouldn't come to the phone, wouldn't come to the door, the little coward. I said, really? Yeah, he knew I was going to rip his head off. I said, okay. So I think I left a note for him, he said. I left a note for him and told him he had to get his shit out of the dumpster because when I show up here tomorrow morning, we're going to deal with this. So I got up and I was here at 6:30. I left the house at 6:15. I was here at 6:30. I said, what happened? He said, dumpster was full of shit. I said, so what did you do? He said, come here. We walk out the side of the house and I look there and the stuff is on the front lawn. He took all this shit out of the dumpster and he piled it on the front lawn.
The front lawn.
And you go by it and it looked like the worst tag sale ever.
Oh my God. not the back lawn, not the driveway, the front lawn.
Didn't even walk on the property. He just stood at the property line and he winged all the shit on the guy's front lawn. So the whole front lawn is scattered.
I knew a returnable.
A pile in the middle.
Man, nice.
Took all the shit out of the dumpster. Evidently, come to find out, the drug guy had 2 sheds in the backyard that somebody had some problems where the town was telling him to remove the sheds. So he's cleaning the sheds out, and my dumpster happened to be there.
Oh boy!
And he decided to unload all shit.
See, boys and girls, the lesson to this story, obviously, let me just paraphrase, I'll summarize for you. Do not spend your money on drugs. Spend your money on dumpsters. Right? Is that the lesson of this one?
No,
I missed the lesson.
I think the lesson is you just confront it. I mean, my biggest problem that I have is that I'll assume that most people have the same responsibility factors that I do.
Yeah.
And I hire them to do something, and I assume that they'll do the right things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even if you notice lately, even Jesse said something the other day about how I live my life nowadays. It's changed quite a bit because I've gone back into the manager valence or the manager identity. Yeah, that's a better word, right? So it's like even like I was telling you how much time? Yeah, we got time. I was telling you when you got here this morning that this week I spent 2 days in a house that I just bought with frozen pipes.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, it used to be I would find that and I would, like send a contractor up there and like, is it done yet? And I would call him like 3 o'clock, is it done yet?
Mm.
But I didn't. I stayed there for a day and a half. Mm-hmm. One of the days was 12 hours.
Yep.
No food, no water, no cigar, nothing, just fixing pipes. Right? we got all done, which happened to be, by the way, I bought this house for what they owed. I took over the payments. He was supposed to be on December. Couldn't get out quick enough because of the holidays and shit.
Surprise! There's Christmas this year.
I get the keys to the house on Wednesday. You and I are in the house on Thursday, and I said I got to turn the heat up.
8 days ago.
Yeah, I turned the heat up so the cleaning girls can come clean because it was cold in there. And you said to me, which was I should have paid attention to, and I didn't, which was the telltale. We were there for 10 or 15 minutes. Shouldn't these radiators be warm by now? And I'm like, no, it's pretty cold in here. It's going to take a while.
But it takes a while to heat the house and the air. But when the water's going through pipes, because believe me, I have pipes, and I have a story about my house. It's not like a buy house, but I had a little problem the other day.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, frozen pipe. It didn't break, but I had to fix it fast. Had water leaking. Had a gasket pop.
So what happens is I go into the house on Thursday. We turn the heat on. I go back on Monday.
But the furnace is running, right?
The furnace was running.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, it'll be. So I go back on Monday and I go back in the house and I'm like, well, it seems warm in here, but I don't know if it's 67 degrees in here. Now Monday was a cold day.
0.
So when I walk in, it felt warm because it's 0 outside. Well, long story short is I go downstairs and I try to start the furnace and I can't get the furnace to run. So the next thing that happens is I call the guy that I bought the house from, who's a plumber. Say the furnace isn't running. He's like, well, I can't, because he had fixed another. Since I met him, I sent him out to another house that was having a problem with the furnace with, and he fixed that like the week before. You know, it was expensive, but the parts were expensive, right? So, anyways, long story short is this: the furnace is running, but the water's not circulating. So I call because it's propane gas. I call the guy like 3:30 in the afternoon. He rushes over and tries to fix the furnace for me. Can't fix the furnace. The furnace is running. He's calling his boiler guy. He's on the phone.
So it is running or not anymore?
No, the furnace is running.
But the heat isn't moving.
The reason why the furnace is not firing is because the boiler is up to full temperature, and it's because the water's not going anywhere. So it would heat the boiler. The boiler would heat up the water to 190 degrees.
It's not going to go on.
And then just shut off. It's not going to go on.
No, it's circulation's the problem.
Right. So he's like, your pipes are frozen. I'm like, what? So this is like, 6 o'clock on Monday night. So I have coaching calls. So I rush home to do my, to get on my coaching call. Tuesday morning, I'm back there first, and I call the guy that I bought the house from. I'm like, dude, can you help me? I mean, I wasn't calling him to complain because I bought the house from him. I'm calling him as like the plumber. I'll meet you there tomorrow morning. So he's like, yeah, he's thinking he's going to be there for a couple hours. Well, we were there for 11 hours. There were 8 broken pipes. We undo those, and then there was a pipe behind a tub. We had to preheat the room to about 90 degrees to get because we didn't want to remove the tub.
Now you know,
right? So we finally get the second floor broken free, and then downstairs we couldn't figure out. Downstairs we spent another 3 hours trying to find the frozen. It didn't bust the pipes, but there was frozen water and it wouldn't circulate. So at 8 o'clock at night or 8:30 at night, we're leaving the house, right? So I have another house that was without heat, one of my apartments. I was telling you this story this morning. I have another house that was without apartments. I went and put a thermostat in it. And when I put the thermostat in, I'm talking to the guy. He goes, and it was a bad wire because I couldn't fix it with the thermostat, so it was a bad wire. So he goes back and he's like, yeah, I figured out how to shut the furnace off, but when somebody put the thermostat in, there was a piece of paper in there so the contacts wouldn't touch on the thermostat. And so I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, really? I said, well, I was the dumbass that did that. So I'm thinking to myself, I just put those new thermostats in the house that we were in the day before on Tuesday. Thinking, I put brand new thermostats in there. I didn't pull the paper out. So I better go check on it. So I drive up
in that
there.
case, the thermostat won't regulate the temperature of the circulation. It's like when you buy something, you have to pull the battery.
It wouldn't be circulating.
Yeah, like when you buy something, it says pull this tab so the batteries connect, like a smoke alarm or something. Just pull the tab, then the batteries connect. That way they don't wear out in the store.
Right.
Okay.
So I go up there to pull the paper out because I'm like, oh shit, I didn't do that, right? Because it's a half hour ride up there. I walk in the house and the frickin' living room ceiling is on the floor. So where the pipes had broken, it had drenched the sheetrock, and now there's a bunch of. Anyways, I can't complain with that house because the only money I put into it to get the house was I put $380 something in the propane tank for heat. So the last house I did, I think I had a freeze out about 10 years ago. It cost me like $8,000. I'm lucky if this house will cost me $1,000 to fix it. It cost me 2 days worth of my time, which is a lot more than $1,000. Right? You know, a few $100 an hour these days. Right? $250, something like that.
It's like you're paying yourself.
Yeah. But I mean, that's just this week, you know. So it's like, you know, it's interesting.
Well, you know, there's a moral, what you're just saying, that struck me. 'Cause I have a similar situation with a condo I bought that I had to evict a tenant, lost several months of rent and all that. But it doesn't bother me because I bought it so good.
Right.
And the moral of the story is, if you buy the house really, really good, you got room for this crazy shit.
Right.
You know, because stuff happens. You got to be careful. You got to really watch things, but things happen. And if you buy it really good, you're still ahead of the game. If you, I put 20% down on the house cash, you know, I got a bank loan and I'm, paying it off, you're already behind.
Right.
So you add that to it, that's insult and injury.
Right.
So that's my moral to this one. You buy good enough, you got room for crazy shit.
Right.
And you don't have to feel bad about it because you're still ahead.
Right.
What's your moral?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Like, yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, like the three multifamily houses I bought just recently. I just took them over. That's where the heat problem was.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that at all.
Well, I saw Emma counting your thousands of dollars cash over there.
So here's the thing. I have 3 buildings. 2 of them are under one mortgage, and one. So there's 2 family houses and 1 3-family house, and they're all under the same. The two family houses are under one mortgage. The 3 families under a separate mortgage.
All the same guy, though, originally.
All the same guy, right? And I signed all 3 properties up on a lease option, no money down. I gave him $100 deposit, right? The first month, I pay him something like $3,500 or $3,800 in mortgage payments and insurance and all that kind of stuff, right? His wife is ecstatic because it takes him 2 weeks to collect rents, and the money's never there. So they're constantly chasing money, and she's chasing him for the money, right? So now I give her a check on the 3rd, like it's paid, and she's like ecstatic, right? It's like over, right? In the meantime, I'm dealing with the no heat calls. I'm dealing with all that kind of stuff, But I look at it this way. I wrote those checks, that check for $3,500 or $36, whatever, or $38, whatever it was, right? I wrote that check. That was like my down payment money.
Yeah.
So now what I'm going to do is each month, it took me 2.5 weeks to collect the rents, but now I have all the rent money. So when February 1st comes, the rent money's there. So I put that $3,500 into the house like it was a down payment. I didn't need any financing.
Yep.
I didn't need any bank approval. I wrote the first contract, and his lawyer had a couple changes he wanted to make. I made the changes, sent him back. He wanted to make a couple more. That was it. Once I got the first lease past this guy, he says, okay, I'm at his house, and he says to me, the first the two families, I'm at his house in his living room with his wife sitting at the table. He's sitting there. He said, my wife and I talked. He says, you did such a good job with these 2. He says, I'd like you to buy a 3-family in New Haven. Wait a minute, it gets better than that. Because then he's like, I want to sell for what I owe. He owes like $124. House is worth like $224. And he just gives me the house because he's moving to Florida. He's done. Right? He says, I've had about 25 guys call me and tell me they could do this. He says, but I looked you up online. I've heard about you. You've been around a long time. He just knew me. He knew more about me than I did. And he called me up and he returned one of my ads. And he's like, I'm not selling any of the other guys because they seem like they're fly-by-nights. He says, you seem like you're for real.
That means a lot.
Wait a minute. I get done, and he's like doing the hat turnover for the 3-family, like introducing me with the rents and all that kind of stuff. We're standing outside. He's like, yeah, I'm leaving on Saturday. He says, but I want you to know something. I said, what's that? He says, I left my neighbor the keys for another 3-family house I have, and I think I'm going to give that to you. He says, I'll let you know in a month or so. He says, I want to see how it goes when they're paying me and stuff, but if I have too much trouble with that house, he says, you can have that one too. Another 3-family house.
It's amazing.
Right? All because I was just nice and professional. And the number one rule that I live off of, the number one rule, and I didn't think about this the other day. Actually, there's 2 things that are my foundation. And I didn't think about this till after the meetup. Now, the first rule is this. I told this to you the other day.
Mm-hmm.
This is my catchphrase. Okay? And whoever's listening to this is amazing. I think it's amazing. But you may not think so, but I think it's amazing. So here's...
Well, hang on, folks. You just bought 2, 4, 7 doors off one guy, and maybe 3 more. That'd be 10 doors off of one guy. So I would listen to you if I were anybody. Yeah. So go ahead, Bill.
I didn't buy them. I don't even buy them. I lease them.
Yeah.
I don't even own them.
Yeah.
I lease them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the first month I positive cash flowed like, I think it's $2,100 or $2,300 or something like that.
What's your exit on it? Just lease them how long?
He told me I got 5 years. Well, the two in Meriden, I got 5 years. I'll probably end up selling them to my daughter, or I'll refinance them. It depends on how it goes.
Right.
I mean, if
he wants to be cashed out in 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, if the rents go in the way they are, I guarantee you I can talk him into another 5 years because he won't care. He's got a mortgage with his mother, a small $40,000 mortgage with his mother. I could probably pay his mother off, and he would be happy. He wouldn't care about the bank. You know, give him his money. His money's going to his mother because he borrowed money from his mother, and he would be happy.
Got it.
So here they are, the 2 things that I live by. Ready?
Yes.
I'll pay whatever price you want for your house as long as I get to pick the terms. I'll pay whatever price for your house that you want as long as I can pick the terms. I don't care if it's 30 cents on a dollar or if it's 20 cents or 20% over market value. I'll pay you whatever you want for your house as long as I get to pick the terms. Number 1. Number 2, trust. What's the definition of trust? What is the definition of trust?
Your words match your actions.
And that's what I do. I work on that every day. I make sure whatever I say, I back it up with action. I was texting the other day in the snowstorm. One of my tenants were asking me about shoveling the snow, and it's like, you know, he wanted to charge me $50 because the guy didn't show up to do the snow, right? So he wanted to charge me $50 to shovel sidewalks. I'm like, that's a little bit too much. I can't pay that much. I have a guy to do it cheaper. And they're like, I'm like, so I said to her, I said, hey, she said, well, I already did the shoveling. I'm like, well, I'll give you a credit. I'll give you a credit for it. Right? So she goes, and I'm like, I'll take it off the $300 that you owe me. Because I got a tenant that still hasn't paid $300 for last month's rent. She goes, I paid my rent. And she got real defensive. And I had to come downstairs to my office. It's like, I got the wrong apartment. I got the wrong girl in the wrong apartment.
Oh, okay.
I was in a different property. Right?
Oh.
So I apologized. Right? And I said, I'm sorry, blah, 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 blah. Because people are funny. You know, they once they go sour, they stay, you can't, you know. And this is just what I'm talking about. On Monday, I got up, I went to Home Depot, I got ice and sand, and I brought it to the house, and I went up and knocked on the door, and Angel's the guy's name. I said, dude, I want to look you in the eye. I apologized on text, but I want to look you in the eye, and I want to shake your hand and tell you I really apologize for telling you owe me $300 when you didn't. He's like, oh, no, I'm cool. But just the fact that I showed up, to look him eye to eye, and it was an honest to God's mistake. I wasn't because I have a relationship with this guy, you know, and I don't want to ruin it. So I feel like we're just babbling right now. So we should either end the podcast or come up with another story. You got another story?
Well, those are two good. I think you ended because those 2 points you just made are really important.
Oh, we've been for an hour. We didn't tell the story about you climbing through the window, though. We should tell that story real quick.
I climbed through the window.
So I bought a house in Clinton, Connecticut, right? And we don't have keys to the house yet. The guy's in like Virginia or Kentucky. That's where he was.
And you just couldn't wait anymore.
And I wanted to see the inside of the house.
Just couldn't wait.
So we're walking around the house. In the back of the house.
Oh, look, Bill. There's an air conditioner.
So we kind of wiggle the air conditioner, and we get the air conditioner out of the window. And I'm like, Pete, you're a lot smaller than I am.
Yeah, duh.
Twice my age.
Twice. What are you, 12?
But yeah, a lot smaller than me. I'm like, Pete, how about if I jimmy you up? You step on it, we'll jimmy you up, and you get through the window in the house.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, okay, I'll do it. I almost fell over. So I whip out my camera. We actually have it. I don't know where it is. Is it on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on Facebook.
It's on Facebook.
Yeah, there I am.
Can we get the link and put it in there? Yeah, put the link in the Facebook.
But you have to realize, as I'm going through it, the house isn't empty. There's there's a table. There's stuff on the table. There's lamps. I'm crawling through.
And they took her to the hospital, and she never came back.
The couch has like the blanket rolled up, like where she left it, like like a little nest. It was kind of sad, but she led a great life, and so. But I'm crawling through her stuff to get in. All
of a sudden, I hear Pete going, it's like, boom. I hear, I'm in. He goes, I made it. And he's like standing in front of the camera, yelling and screaming. And he went around and unlocked the door.
Yep.
But there's another good deal.
And there's no moral to that one. That's just stupid.
The moral to that one is that
bring Pete with you because you can get through windows.
Yeah, the moral of that one is
bring
you
a small
shouldn't take
guy.
no for an answer. No, I don't have keys yet. Okay, well, we'll go figure it out.
We'll get in there.
I mean, I own the house. I just hadn't gotten keys yet because he was from Kentucky.
You used the air conditioner as the boost.
Yeah, you used the air conditioner as the boost. Did you put it in there? Yeah. So if you're in Facebook, Emma just put the link of Peter crawling through the window so you can go check it out. It's in the chat.
Go have fun.
That was funny as shit. Go Pete, go Pete.
I had plumbers in the house once, and they couldn't get to the shutoff valve because somebody stupidly put it way in the back of the room, the furnace, the pipes, but they had the skinny guy. Yeah. So they always had the skinny guy for jobs to squeeze him in between things. So I always have a skinny guy. That's the other rule. Hey Pete, can you shut my water off? Hey Pete, can you get behind that?
Anyways, so before we go, Emma puts the book in front of me. It's called Getting Everything You Can Out of All You Got with Jay Abraham. I'm going to read that paragraph to you, and then we're going to get out of here. Okay, Peter?
Yes, sir.
An amazing thing, the human brain, capable of understanding incredible, complex, and intricate concepts, yet at times unable to recognize the obvious and simple.
Mm-hmm.
Some true examples. Ice cream was invented in 2000 BC, yet it was 3,900 years later before someone figured out ice cream cone.
That long ago? Did you say where?
No.
That long ago? Holy crap.
Meat was on this planet before humans. Bread was baked 2600 BC. Nevertheless, it took another 4,300 years for someone to put them together to create a sandwich.
Jeez, Bill, it makes me wonder what we haven't done yet. That we go like, son of it, we should have all along. And there's something out there waiting just like that.
Yep.
Man, I could have something named after me someday.
And the modern flush toilet was invented in 1775.
Wow.
But it wasn't until 1857 that somebody thought up toilet paper.
Crap, Bill, what'd they do in the meantime?
Yeah, nice pun.
Once
these obvious connections have been made, they seem so obvious, so evident, we can't believe we didn't see them sooner. An endless number of these unmade connections exist to this day, especially in the business world. You are surrounded by simple, obvious solutions that can dramatically increase your income, power, influence, and success. Problem is, you don't see them.
Damn, Bill, you got me thinking. What am I missing? It's right under my nose.
And that's the beginning of Jay Abraham's book. It's called Everything You Can Get Out of All You Got. It's an amazing book. You should go read it. He is an amazing guy.
Man.
So, there's my story.
You got me thinking, Bill.
I'm sticking to it.
Yeah. If I could only reinvent the sandwich.
So we went back to our regular babble.
Mm-hmm.
You and I, next week, we will have a regular show.
Bill, this was more fun.
Yeah. I just wanted to lighten it up, but we've been really intense lately, so I wanted to lighten it up.
After the weeks we've had, huh?
So the last thing I'd like to say before we go over and out is that you should go check out our podcast, our other podcast, which is Flipping. I'll give that to you again. Flipping Houses Startup Bootcamp. It is a sequential order. If you are trying to get into the investing business and would like to know how to start and what step to do next, the podcasts are laid out in. We actually did them in seasons. So there's like season 1, episode 1. Season 1, episode 2, episode 3, episode 4, and then we go on to season 2. And each season is a different segment of the business. So you can listen to the podcast sequentially and actually in order and actually build your business and start doing what we do. So it's nice and easy. It's a great way to start. Okay? So go check it out. You can go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/free training podcast. Free training podcast. Thank you, Emma. And that's a redirect link that will bring you right to the podcast so you can find it. So it's flippinghousesforrookies.com/free training podcast. Okay? Thanks for listening to us today, and we will chat with you next week. Over and out.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.